What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review for Black Ink Crew, Season 6, Episode 15. So, we're getting closer and closer to when everything had to shut down, so they keep doing the countdown to the COVID. So, let's just go through what's going on. Charmaine is still on maternity leave. She's at home, so she's sort of doing a lot of her stuff through, like, home video type thing. Well, I'm sure she was filming it on her phone and emailing them the videos and stuff like that. We see her go to mother support group. She takes Plug. I think it's Plug that she takes with her. Yeah, does Plug have a tattoo on his face? It looks like in his confessional he has a tattoo on his face. But then in the scenes that they've already filmed, I didn't see it. Y'all. Plug. Anyway, I'm just going to let that go. I'm not going to say shit. So, she's at a support group, and all I can say about that is you are 6 days away from delivering your child, and you are just now going to a support group, which leads me to feel like she probably already has, and they were just filming this. Okay, fine, moving on. I mean, all they were doing was talk about having a baby and the things that happen when you have a baby child. Nobody care. Down to the shop. We got the guys talking down to NYMAG. The guys are talking, and basically they're talking about their romantic situation. Ford's ready for a relationship. Don is trying to deal with his situation with Danielle. They're co-parenting. They're still living separately. And Ryan is trying to figure out his situation with Rachel. It sounds like him and Rachel have been spending some nights together. He said that he's been spending the night waking up with his kids, and he hasn't done that in about a year. So I think in Ryan's mind, they're getting closer. They're figuring things out, you know, that kind of thing. This review gonna probably be all over the place because it really ain't a whole lot to talk about. But then we saw a scene with Rachel and I guess her good friend, and she was basically like, she thinks that the Ryan Rachel love story is over. She said that he's still, one minute he's calling, the next minute she don't hear from him, so he's still playing that on again off again thing. And she said that she, you know, a lot of people want to see them together, but she feels like a lot of people want them to be together because of the story. They were childhood sweethearts. They were teen parents. They made it work. They both created these, you know, they have their own businesses now and they're doing good for themselves. And she was like, I think a lot of people are holding on to the story, the love story of it. But at the end of the day, she said that she just thinks that they're done. Like, they're done. But I think they need to just get on the same page because I don't know, maybe Ryan doesn't call you every day because he don't want to be pressed. He don't want, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think neither one of y'all know where y'all stand. Y'all just need to have a straight conversation, and you either need to shit or get off the pot. It sounds like Ryan obviously wants to get back. I mean, Ryan, we've said that before, like last year when he was sleeping in the shop. Ryan never wanted to break up. And Rachel may very well be at a place where she can't forgive him because it sounds like she keeps bringing up the infidelity and his past mistakes. And my thing is, I get it. Things weren't great. Y'all had a bad situation. But at the end of the day, either you're going to forgive him or you're not. And I said that before as well. And if you can't forgive him, there's nothing wrong with that. He screwed up. You don't have to forgive him. You are under no obligation to forgive him. But if you don't think you can forgive him, then you do owe him that to say, listen, we are done. And I think what people, especially people who've been together for a long time, they fall into familiar patterns and it becomes confusing. So because y'all are getting along and things are nice, y'all fall into bed. And then somebody wakes up thinking that means something different than what the other person thinks it means. Y'all go on vacation together. Ain't nothing wrong with going on vacation together. You want to create that common experience for your children. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I think, you know, are y'all staying in the same room? Are y'all staying at the same resort? You see what I'm saying? Like, there has to be some hard lines drawn, and both sides have to understand what those lines are. And it sounds like there's still some blurred lines there with y'all. Anyway, Kitty is still having an issue with the fact that Jess is back down at Second City. And again, I'm gonna say this. I said it then, and I'm gonna say it again. Now, Charmaine is playing that. I'm not gonna tell one person what the other person is doing because, you know, I guess she don't want the beef with Kit, so she's not going to tell Kit that she actually asked Jess to come back because she wasn't sure how things were going on down to the Second City. and she wasn't really happy with some of what she saw or felt was going on. Jess came back up in there, and Jess's thing is, listen, I'm still a managing partner. Kitty's thing is, okay, you can come in and, you can hang out, but I'm still the manager. Charmaine's thing is, y'all have two very different roles. But again, all of them over there, I can use that same thing I just said as a romantic situation into this business situation. Clearly, everybody doesn't understand what their role is. It sounds like Charmaine is the only one that has clarity on what her vision is for what everybody's supposed to be doing. And y'all need to get on a Zoom or do whatever y'all need to do, and the roles need to be clearly defined. But at the end of the day, if Jess is a managing partner, meaning she put money in to help Charmaine invest, then Jess has more authority than Kid, period. She's an owner. Even if it's 1%, 5%, 10%, she's a fucking owner. And so she ultimately has that authority, She said that, Jess said that she feels good to be in a position where she can help mentor other young Black female artists. She said that was something she didn't have when she was, first getting into tattooing and coming up. And quite frankly, that's something that Charmaine nor Kitty can offer. And when she first said it, I sort of took it as a dig. But then the reality is, she's right. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that is absolutely something that you can't offer. Then we see Jess's friend show up. And we met him last year when Jess went back to London and she was hanging out with her old friends. He's her best friend. And he showed up at the shop. And, of course, him and Kitty were flirting. And he was really playing with Kitty. He knew exactly who Kitty was. And he ain't say nothing. And Kitty was kind of, he was acting like he was being very, very vague in his answers. Like, he didn't lie, but he wasn't clear. And so Kitty was under the impression that he was just somebody that had come up off the street off of a recommendation from a friend, not knowing that friend was Jess. He said he was from London. But again, because Jess was like, the accent didn't give you a hint. And my thing is, but I wouldn't automatically make that jump. That's because to me, because if she had made that assumption and he was just some dude off the street, then you could have flipped that around and be like, everybody with a British accent don't all know each other. That's just kind of like when, you say you from a certain place and somebody be like, do you know the Johnsons? Everybody from Kansas don't know each other. All the Black people from Kansas don't live in the same part of Kansas. And do you know how many Black Johnsons there are? But so when people do it to us, we don't like it. So you can't make that assumption just because he had a British accent that he knew Jess. Like, that would have been, like, if it had been the opposite, we'd have been like, that was so ignorant. Why would Kid think that? But anyway, but he did. They are friends. And come to find out, Jess has hired him to come back to the shop. And his thing was, when I found out she was going back to the shop, I kind of wanted to have her back because he ain't like how things went down the last time. And Kitty, of course, was like, well, Charmaine didn't say anything about hiring somebody. And she was like, see, this is what I'm talking about, the communication around here. There's a problem. And Jess was like, well, Charmaine didn't say anything to me about hiring you. So we good. Like, I don't have to run it past you or Charmaine. We have a booth. We have space for another artist. He's a dope-ass artist. Later on, he ends up telling Jess that he likes Miss Kitty. And she was like, okay, well, you do know that me and Kitty don't rock with each other. And I understand exactly where you're coming from, Jess, because you my friend. I don't like her. You can't like her. And I don't even mean in a petty, like, elementary school kind of way, but you're here because of me. You know me and her don't rock. Like, for you to pursue a relationship with her would really piss me off. And I understood where Jess was coming from. But his response was, but we all grown. Like, hopefully you and Jess can figure that. Like, his thing was, hopefully you and Kitty can figure that out. So, because we all grown around these pods. And y'all can figure it out so I can smash. Let's be clear. He's going to smash. Well, I ain't going to say he's going to smash, but he damn sure going to try. We also get a little bit of his background. He's originally from the United States, actually. He lived here until he was 7, and then he moved to London. He said he was growing up with his mom, and he was saying that he was a problem child, and he gave his mom a hard time, and his mother basically packed him up and sent him to go live with his dad, and he was like, I ain't heard from her since. He was like, Christmas, birthdays, New Year's, Labor Day, Arbor Day, Flag Day. Ain't nobody heard from her. Now, first of all, I got a couple of questions. First of all, how bad were you at 7 that your mama packed you up and sent you across the pond? That's number one. Number two, how bad were you at 7 that your mama said deuces? And I would be curious. When men do it, we don't question when men do it. When men leave their kids high and dry and just walk away and don't never call, don't never text, never heard from them again, miss birthdays, holidays, weddings, bar mitzvahs, and everything else, we don't question it. We be like, damn, he won't shit. But when it's a woman, it's almost like we be like, what? How could she? Oh my gosh, what the world? But I would be curious to find out what that story is. And he said that, while and of course this is all before COVID, I'm sure they had a whole situation planned where they were going to have this reunion with him and his mama. Either he was going to fly to California or she was going to fly to Chicago. But I would be interested to hear that story, because that's a lot. And I do think we have a higher bar for women because the child actually came out of them. Like, I do think we have a higher bar. But anyway. Don and Danielle. Is that his wife's name? I don't know why Danielle always sounds wrong, but I feel like that's right. Ashley, because it ain't right, it's Ashley. You know what it is? Her Instagram name is Ashley Danielle or Danielle Ashley or something like that. I think Danielle must be her middle name, and that's what it is, y'all. That's why I always want to call that woman Danielle. But Ashley, okay. And she's saying she wants to move to Texas. She wants, with everything going on with COVID, she's, scared for her kids. She said being a single mom, it's a lot on her. Well, being co-parenting, it's a lot on her. And she wants to go to Texas. Now, remember the last time her and Don were having problems, she went to Texas. That must be where her family is. And that's what she says, that she has a stronger support system in Texas. The last time they did that, she took the baby, the newborn, and Don, the older son, stayed with Don. But Ford said that it was a lot on all of them, and that he doesn't really want to do that again. So Don is like, listen, if Ashley don't want to be here and she don't want to work things with us, that's one thing. But we're not playing with my kids. And for as shitty as a husband as Don may have been, I feel like he was always a good dad. And again, I don't know the day to day, but I feel like he was always a good dad. Anyway, I'm not talking about the oldest situation, the child with the one with the situation with the oldest daughter, because I don't know enough about that. But so he actually had to go see a lawyer, and he was like, I don't want to bring the lawyers into this. I don't want to make this a court situation, but I do need to know my rights, because I don't want her to leave with my child. Like the last time, I sort of let it happen, but having gone through that before, I don't want that to happen again, especially with everything going on with COVID. It wasn't like he could fly down regularly and go visit. And this was before we knew we would be locked down the way we ended up being locked down. This was just a matter of it's not safe to travel back and forth. And the lawyer told him that there are laws that if she moves 30 miles away from where she's living now, she has to show just cause to the judge why it's needed. And he said that basically if you are an active part of your child's life, it would be very hard for her to justify to a judge that she needs to move to Texas. Like if you were deadbeat and you wasn't doing shit and she needed the support, that would be one thing. If it were, I'm sure if it were like a job situation, that would be one thing. But just because he said that he said that, y'all's relationship would come into play. But at the end of the day, you being a good husband doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you being a good father. So I with everything that happened with COVID, I'm not sure how that worked out. Maybe they quarantined together and they worked everything out, child. I don't know. Charmaine is definitely afraid of having to go to the hospital with everything going on with COVID. Going to a hospital is just not a safe place. She's very concerned about having to go to the hospital, which I absolutely 120% understand. I understand her being afraid to go into a hospital. She was talking about missing her mom, because her and her mom were supposed to go through this together, and it's you just feel for Charmaine. You just really, really feel for Charmaine with all of that. You know, you really do feel for her. And the last thing we see is Charmaine on her way to the hospital. Now, I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, that's the last thing we see is Charmaine on her way to the hospital to have the baby. So I think next episode is the episode when they actually shut everything down. So we're gonna see how this plays out. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.